All right, and welcome to BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. We're here at Women in Trucking in Dallas, Texas, and just having a phenomenal show. Drive safe, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm hanging in there. I'm having fun. And you know what? Excited, sir, to be here.
Well, Dave, we're not alone today. Next to you, we have Miss Tanya. Tanya, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
What are you
love
thinking?
His excitement.
It is. You know what? We're going to get into this, and that's why I said you got to be in here, Drive Safe, Dave, because we're on pot number 4 or 5 on coffee right now.
Easy.
Wow.
And we're warming another one as we speak.
And we also have Bob Perry. Bob, how are you doing?
Doing great. You probably don't even need these microphones. You're already wired for sound, right? Wow.
Yeah, they're telling me your mic's not on. I was like, how did you not know my mic's not on?
So So first, let's talk about Women in Trucking. What are you thinking so far? What a great event! Over 1,700 people here. Amazing event.
Yep.
I was talking to Ellen about that this morning. You know how much it's grown. If you came to the earlier ones, everything was like right in the middle. You know, now we're walking down the hallways like the big ones. But that's really what it's all about, is right, bringing awareness.
Tanya, what are you thinking?
Well, and just listening just to the session before with all the influential women, you know, and how they balance work life and how they really are being innovators. They're coming to their leadership and saying, hey, I think we can do this. And it's just inspiring to just be with a group of other women to see how they're going about making change in the industry.
So it was Monday morning. Drive Safe, Dave and I, we get in here, grab a bite to eat, and I grab one of them burritos, and I would sit down, and next to me is old Bob right here. I'm like, come on now. I was like, hey, I'm not eating the tortilla, just what's on the inside of it.
It was a hard-boiled egg for Bob.
I had the pastry.
I know, right? But we did, and I find it interesting here because, you know, first thing we did was we made sure we had our coffee. And we're going to talk a little caffeine right here today, because caffeine, and you're going to talk, because I don't understand this, so I'm really interested in this, because when you're tired, when you're driving that truck, you know, when you're at that moment, or when I get into work in the morning, I need to sharpen up, I feel like I need that caffeine to get me going. What are your thoughts on that? Is it...
Well, let's start with the basics, in that caffeine is a stimulant, and it is a drug because it affects the central nervous system. And as a drug, you need more and more and more to get the same effect. So someone who drinks no coffee and drinks 1 cup are wired like Dave, right? But for Dave to have 1 cup, it does nothing. So now we got to have 2 to get the same effect. Then we got to have 3 to get the same effect. And so that's what kind of happens. Then you get into the central nervous response, in that when you don't have it, you have a headache.
100% headache.
That's how you know you're addicted.
100%.
And it does not, you've lost your alertness. You've lost any of that benefit that it gave you in the beginning. And what it does is it makes you dehydrated. And that's really where, for a driver, that's really where that spot interacts and intertwines. A 3% dehydration in your body causes a decreased reaction time.
Wow.
So when you're dehydrating your body, your brain is over 70% water. So that dehydration is going to happen in your brain. And when it happens in your brain, underhydration, 3% loss in hydration decreases your reaction time.
So let me ask you a question, and you're talking about dehydration and stuff like that. So does it make sense, if I'm drinking a cup of coffee, to go ahead and drink an 8-ounce bottle of water right after?
Yes.
And then go have another 8-ounce cup of coffee, and then drink another? Because now I'm pumping fluids into me and trying to stay hydrated, but also enjoying, because I'm going to go, they're the one thing you're going to find in every truck stop in the United States is 5 different kinds of coffee available to a driver to walk in and fill up with the big super mug.
Right.
Right? I mean, the one thing that's always made fresh, or they're not stopping there.
That's right.
I mean, I'm not going in there if it's yesterday's coffee.
That's right.
They have to make that fresh, and I, as a driver, we like our coffee.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but what you just said is the understanding of, I have to make other choices and I have to balance it out. And that's what's missing in the conversation.
I think, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Never.
What happens in the fight of that is now they got to stop and go to the bathroom. and they don't want to drink the fluids. You know, they want too much fluid.
Right.
And then, but Tanya made a very good point about when that sets in, now all of a sudden now your concentration is gone thinking about that headache and thinking about, you know, that you don't have that uplift is now taking your concentration off the job at hand, right? And so all of a sudden your mind is focused on something else.
Well, and you got to decrease reaction time. So when the idiot driver, woman, drives in front of you, your reaction time is off. So you're adjusting. So you have to look at that bigger picture from a safety and a reaction standpoint. And what Bob was saying about the going to the bathroom thing, hydration is like a wet sponge and a dry sponge. If you never keep yourself in a hydrated state, you always have to go to the bathroom a lot. But if you keep yourself well hydrated, your kidneys stop trying to keep you from being waterlogged, and it stops making you have to go to the bathroom all the time. So again, that's another part of the conversation and the education that you got to provide.
Because they don't get to that point of it, and they think about, I got to go to the bathroom, so they don't get themselves to the level that they need to have, right? Because they're afraid.
The healthy point.
Exactly.
Right.
The healthier point than where they're at. The one in which, yeah, because to me, I'm guilty of it. Hey, daughter, you're not drinking that bottle of water, but you know, we just got in the car. Don't drink that whole one because I'll have to stop in 15 minutes. Put that down because we're not stopping in 15 minutes.
Well, you know, here's another thing I've talked about all the time is that we've been say today that, you know, when we're teaching these drivers about doing that pre-check, then they need to do a pre-check refrigerator check. Make sure they got water and good snacks.
100%. 100%.
Great point.
And tell me really, if you're experienced of doing that, that's not that hard of a lift to do, right? I mean, you're already doing it. How hard it would be to train drivers to do that? Because what happens is, as Tanya was saying, you're sitting there in traffic, you're sitting there and you're pounding stuff that isn't good for you, right? And now the traffic's moving, all of a sudden 2 hours later you're taking off, so what's going to happen? Now you're back to pounding more caffeine because you ran out, right? And so the process starts all over. And so you just diminish really your ability.
So hold on a second. So other than cutting up the cucumbers and throwing them in my water and the strawberries and shaking that sucker up and do that, what are my options? Because green tea.
I'm a seltzer water person too.
Okay.
I love a good flavored seltzer water because I like the bubbles.
Yes.
You know? So there's nothing wrong with that either. One of the things is when I go to a truck stop, what I look at is how many different opportunities do I have for flavored water and different kinds of waters. Seltzer's waters is great. Green tea.
And you can flavored. They have flavors, right?
You can take, flavored green tea, and you can take a green tea bag and put it in a cold water bottle, and it'll still infuse. So you'll still get a flavor and a taste.
And you get a little bump.
And you get a little bit.
I just want to say the one thing that the younger drivers can bring to the older people, or the more, we like to say experienced experienced drivers, that they can learn from well, is they're actually doing better at eating healthier.
Yes.
I mean, I find that young people, not when I was young, it was, you know, it was McDonald's and it was, but really I go crazy. My daughter introduced me to baby kale. You know, I'm not, I didn't know there was such thing as baby kale, but I just thought it was kale, and now I was introduced to its children. But I think that as I've gotten to talk to drivers and understand, they're actually doing a better job of that pre-tripping the refrigerator before they go.
Yeah, and we have to do a better job of educating. And we would really be doing these young men and women a great disservice if we didn't explain to them that you don't want to be this. We've learned from that, right?
Wow.
We did. Now, but I must say though, in that population, but my experience, unfortunately, when you're going into orientations and the recruiting they're doing today, because a lot of my friends that do recruiting told me, said, Bob, it was like all of us were fishing out of Lake Erie, and now we're in our grandfather's pond fishing. So you're really looking for people who, unfortunately, don't have any opportunities, right? And they're just looking for a job, a paycheck. And when you do that, a lot of times they bring a poor health record with them. When you're recruiting from a really hard income population. And so they come in, and I hear this all the time. They go, "Wow, man, they got Taco Bell, they got Popeye's chicken there. That's great," because that's what they've been eating. And so, but so we got to take them away from that, and we got to give them the education.
Yeah, it's you brought that up, and I've never really given that much thought about that younger group of drivers, how they're probably coming in with much better habits than what we have as we've been in the industry a longer time. And the companies, to your point, we've got to be there to educate ourselves, right? We need help. We don't know what to do because you're right. We have an orientation. We bring in that younger driver. They're a little bit more fit, and we order a big old thing of pizza because it's easy. We've got to do some own education on ourselves.
Let me just say this, and here's my deal, is that we were mentioning this earlier. What choices do drivers truly have when they're out there on the road? When they walk in, and you were saying there is healthy options.
Absolutely.
You just got to weed your way through the garbage but I also was saying it's more expensive to eat healthier. Because that little weenie that rolls on the little roller is a whole lot cheaper than the salad that they pre-made. You know what I mean? How do we get our business partners, these people that actually are there to help the driver, to feed them and stuff? How do we get them involved? How do we do that, Bob? Tell me how it happens. How do we change the industry?
So what has to happen is you as a carrier, you're sending those drivers into that particular truck stop, right, to get fuel. And so that's what truck stops are in the business for, really, is selling petroleum, right? Selling fuel. That's where they're making their money. And so, and also people don't understand that a lot of their business comes from four-wheelers. But the carriers really drive that. So if the carriers get together and say, you know what, I need your help. I need some better options, and we need to reward these drivers for making those better options.
I like that.
And we need to help these drivers make better choices. But you got to help me do that. And you got to get on board with me, or guess what? I'm going to find a truck stop chain that's going to help me do it.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I'm taking my 500,000 truck fleet, whatever, I'm going to send them across the street because they're willing to give me these opportunities and willing to help me.
Yeah, but isn't some of the answer also the drivers getting meal prepping a little bit, right? We can do some of that ourselves, a little bit of meal prep when you're doing your pre-trip on that refrigerator, making sure you have your food, making sure you have that chicken, that other stuff, so you're not forced to go into that truck stop and buy that. I'm saying there are things that we can do besides count on that truck stop to feed us.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And you look back 25 years ago in the truck, right? 25 years ago in the truck, there was no real refrigerator and a microwave and an air fryer and a heating, we had stingers. I don't know if you know what those are. It was a totally different way in which, or you took your hibachi and you set it outside the truck and you heated it up. But really, they now have a kitchen available to them in their tractor, right? So maybe we need to collaborate and do a better way to teach them how to do well in that environment.
It's all part of the education and orientation. It needs to be a section. You sit down and you spend this time on all the other elements of being a professional driver, preventive maintenance, all that. But now we're going to show you how to take care of personal preventive maintenance.
Right. We still deal with the industry the way we dealt with the industry before.
Agreed, 100%.
And that's where the whole culture conversation has to go with companies. If you're going to keep doing it the way you've always done it, you're going to get the same results that you've always gotten. With tighter and tighter turnover and less population in the pond, right? So from the very, very beginning, let's look at how do we put the orientation meal together? How do we put education together? How do we send them out with a grocery list of the things that they should be getting at the store when they go to the grocery?
I think that's a great point, because if we really love our drivers like we love our kids, we don't always let them get the birthday cake before dinner, right? You can't have the chocolate cake before you eat your dinner, right?
Right.
And we should do the same tough love and understanding and teaching with our drivers. It's our responsibility to protect them too, right? As carriers, as everybody else, we got to do our part, right?
Very good point. I brought this up yesterday. If you go to on the CDC site and read about truck driver health,
right,
and they'll tell you about the environment they work in, why their health is so bad, because the environment they work on, their responsibilities, their job, on the road, bad food choices, no exercise, right? And the environment. So if you're if you're a sports fan and you happen to watch about that young quarterback for the Miami Dolphins that got hit, right? And they took him out and they ended up bringing him back, right? And he got hit again.
In Cincinnati.
Yeah, and so, right, and so, you know, so my feeling is yes, we're all responsible day to day for our own personal health, absolutely. But when you work for an environment like that, don't you think the carrier,
Sure.
athletes
100%.
athletes
You
want to
say
play.
you love them.
Athletes want to play and drivers want to drive.
Yep.
And so we need to protect them for that sometimes. We need to help them so they protect not only themselves, but the general public on the road, because we know when one of those big boys go off side of the road, it's not good.
You know, before we went on air, we were talking about that ROI, right? How does that trucking company get that return on investment on what you're saying? And what I'm hearing isn't necessarily that to the trucking company. Listen, it's an industry problem.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
This takes all of you jumping in on this, because we owe it to our drivers, we owe it to the trucking drivers of America to get them a little bit healthier, not to ruin as well that younger group coming in, get a better process in for your orientation. This is truly, it's an industry problem, what we're talking about.
An industry problem requires an industry solution.
Bam, amen.
And so, but having the conversation, Women in Trucking has always been a big proponent of how to talk about health and wellness. And I've heard Bob say that some of the other other parts of the industry need to jump on board, other organizations as well. There's always a fear, right? You say it, that I'm gonna do all this for this driver, and then I'm gonna lose it.
They're not going to go someplace else instead of staying with me. But if they're leaving, then there's got to be more to it than that. Is the driver unhappy? If you talk to the fleet manager, what's going on, right? It's not just about because you got me healthy.
Not because he ate a salad. He didn't leave because he had a salad. I mean, seriously.
But it's that money, right? I get what you're saying.
Oh, it does cost money.
It's that money. This is what we owe it to the industry. We got to get
100%.
over that part. I'll give you an example, and it's what we kind of do with our trucking company. We share safety to them. It's all about safety with our truck. We have 300 drivers out there that are running. We want them and need them to be safe. One of our bonuses that we pay them, and it's a 3 cent a mile bonus to them for watching the show. And all they got to do is watch it 8 times. But here's the thing. I don't care who watches this show for this one here. It can be your son, it can be your daughter, it can be your best friend, it can be grandma. I don't care, because my job is to make them safer, is to get them home safe.
Right.
This is kind of the same thing. Our job is to take care of these drivers, and let's face it, they are retiring ages right now. I mean, we've got to, if we want them to last a little longer, we're going to have to take care of them. Otherwise, they're going to start getting that diabetes, right?
Well, you were talking about the ROI side of it. Okay, you get that new driver, got a 2-year card, pretty healthy, not too bad.
Yep.
Year or so in, 25 pounds. Couple years in, 40 pounds. Now they're down to a 1-year card. Now they've got diabetes that they're trying to stave off. They're in pre-diabetes, and they've got high blood pressure. And they're taking medication for it. You're watching as your driver deteriorates in front of you. You're watching your healthcare costs go up at the same time. It is in your best interest to keep them as healthy and well as you can with a 2-year card when they first join you. But you're also investing them in them as a person. You're saying, I care about you as a person. This is a tough industry. We know the toll that it takes on you. We want to partner with you. That goes a long way for company loyalty, and it works a long way to keep them from jumping from one company to another.
So these wellness programs that we're talking about, I mean, we're talking about wellness programs, initiating them within the industry. Not only does it benefit the person in there, it helps the insurance costs, right? I mean, wellness programs have ultimately brought down insurance costs, right? They wouldn't implement them and get behind them if it didn't work, right? Insurance companies?
But we are big proponents that you don't just provide a program, you invest in a program.
Nice.
You support it, you encourage it from the top down.
Right.
And when you demonstrate that and a leader demonstrates that, their people have health coaches in place, Bob provides great health coaching. You know, you put that in place and you demonstrate. We take away the fear, what's going to happen to my information? Are they going to take me off the road? All of those kinds of things. As a health coach that I deal with drivers, that's always a question. Can you take me off the road if I tell you what I'm really doing? And but we got to get over that fear. We got to build that partnership. But they need to use the program. It doesn't do any good to provide a program if they're not using it.
So you give them the tools to use, but then what you do is you incentivize them to use the tools because you want to protect them. We spend thousands of dollars recruiting drivers, right? Going to give a recruiting bonus. Worry about the concept. You know what, Dave, I've given you the tools. Here's the roadmap how to do it. We're going to give you the support. And by the way, you go back and you get that 1-year car, that 2-year car, I'm going to give you $500. I mean, $500 opposed to spending $3,000 on a bonus of something you don't know you're going to get.
And you're providing them with a health coach to help them do
right.
it.
You're giving them the tools and the direction to go. How can somebody, I would love to get in a discussion with someone that's in that division of the compliance and recruiting and so forth, to argue that point with me that doesn't make economic sense. To pay that driver $500 to pass that physical and stay with you, opposed to paying somebody $3,000 to come to work for you don't even know, plus the recruiting cost.
You know that there's a cost that I think that trucking companies probably don't want to admit. But when Dave, you know this, when you're looking at your reports, you're going through it, and driver A only ran 320 miles, and the reason that we hear is, well, they can't run, that they're tired, that they can't, we all know they're not very healthy, and you're giving up. If you, even from a profitability standpoint, that cost, that sunk cost, is 100 miles a day, call it, of pure revenue coming in which only 35-40% of that's going to the driver or going to the truck. All that's your money there too. Getting them healthy, even if for the trucking companies, you're looking at it from a return on investment, there's reasons right there. Sit with your planners, sit with your dispatchers. They're going to show you those drivers that they know can only run 320 miles because they're not healthy, because they're always tired.
But that's another part of the culture change.
Absolutely.
We need to break down the silos and bring all the people to the table and say, okay, what are the barriers and what are the issues? And sometimes they're afraid that the solution is a big one. I will tell you that I just worked with a company that the solution was really a very small one. It took about a half an hour of a meeting of the right people at the table. And over 6 months' time, they've increased the participation in their programs that they were already offering by 4%. So it was a small conversation, but the right people in the room. And sometimes it's just knowing who are those people that we need to be getting together. What's the problem we're really trying to solve?
So I have a question. I don't know if you do this or not, but I hear what we're saying, and I love action, right? I like to see success, and sometimes we have to force success. Do you have in any of the programs that you see, like regionalized, like Southwest region, where a BCB can talk to a Swift, can talk to these 8 companies together with you, so they don't feel like maybe they're doing it on their own. More of a team effort to where you have 4, 5, 6 companies working together on the same thing, seeing the successes, so they're in it together. And I think we would look at it like, man, look how many drivers we really are affecting. Look at the culture that we've changed, and how come that company's doing it right? What are we missing out on? Do you have any kind of regionalized things like that for us we need that peer too, right? We need that relationship to talk as teams and build a little closeness together.
Right, and I've always said, it's always been a fantasy of mine is, you take an event like this, imagine you had an event like this and you had major players and it's all about driver health. Well, some people come together collectively to work together so we can all help solve that problem. And they have these big recruiting sessions they do. Let's have a recruiting session on recruiting from within. I just was talking to a lady who came over came to our session yesterday. Large population, 8,000 drivers. We were talking about a lot of these things. And we're talking about their EAP programs, their employee assistance programs, and nobody knows what they are. Nobody has them. Because why? Because people are afraid that someone's going to think that they're on the cliff, right? And we need to get rid of that stigma.
Yeah,
and just like
if somebody feels like if they have to ask for help, there's something wrong with them.
Exactly right.
And I'm telling you, sometimes you're in the water, right? You need a life preserver.
Right.
I'm just saying, that's why they're on the ship.
So a gentleman just came by that I've known for years to come to the event, works in the not a driver, works in the driver's space, came up to me and said, Bob, I got to tell you something. I watched all the things you do. I got to thank you. I've lost 55 pounds. I said, man, great. How did you do that? He said, just walking, watching. But you know what he told me when you were talking about the stuff earlier? He got rid of 2 of his diabetes medications. 2 of them. 2 of them. I mean, that's huge. Just from losing weight. I mean, that's not surgery.
And there's the company return on investment.
Yeah, not surgery. I mean, and I talk about this too, that you want, when we get a program going, we always tell drivers if they've been prescribed medications, you got to take them, right? So you got to get on because that's going to help you get the results. So you're going to see, if we're doing it right, you're going to see an increase in your scripts, which you want to see, because that means they're staying compliant, right? And so then after they get in there, then you'll start to see a change. But companies, a lot of times, they go, the turnover is so high, they don't stick around long enough for us to see it because they're out. Well, then that's what you ever think about then investing in the people you've got, and you will see a return.
Yeah, and you know what? How are you not, if you truly care about the driver, right? If you truly, if you say you care about them, and we love our drivers, but here, I'm not going to invest in you though, right? I'm not going to invest in your health. I'm not going to invest in a plan or an action or an idea. How can we honestly not want to be the catalyst for change in this type of environment? How do we not want to be that? How do we get involved in that is my idea.
It's the difference of providing and saying it's your problem, it's here, we're providing, or investing. It really is the difference. And investing is a top-down. Right. Providing is a bottom-up.
So, I want to make this point too, because we were talking about the silo thing. So I was working with a company not too long ago. I said, give me 20 drivers on a short-term card. If I can't get them in the seat, you don't pay. The ones I get in the seat, you pay. Oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. So they gave me 20 drivers. We got 5 back in the seat. So we had a meeting, and these are experienced drivers, been with them for 3 years. And so my intention was, okay, let's go to the next level, get 50, 100, whatever, right? And they said, well, operations is concerned that they're going to pay to get these drivers healthy, and they're going to leave and go someplace else. So I said, so help me understand this. I'm not trying to be defensive, but so you're telling me you would rather spend 8 to get somebody new in than spend 150 and keep Bob because you're afraid he's going to leave, but you're going to roll the dice and spend 8 to get Dave, and he's going to stay. And so
yes.
I said, explain that. Well,
that makes absolute sense.
Yeah. So the phone got dead quiet, and finally, one of them had to speak. He said, Bob, that's going to be a question for operations. I don't know. And they're in compliance, and they're in safety and compliance. We don't make that decision. Well, why am I talking to you then? Why are you in charge of the project if you can't make a clear decision? If I show you the fact that I'm saving you, their price point was $8,000, saving you $40,000.
And it goes back to ownership, right? Who owns this? And everybody wants to believe that HR owns it because they're providing the programs, right? But it's not. If you're, again, driver appreciation should not be 1 week out of the year.
Agreed.
Right?
100% agree.
It's like I hate Valentine's Day. Really? I got one day. I should be. I got 1 day to tell me I should be doing that every day. Take care of her every day. Yeah. I hate that holiday. It's like I don't really appreciate Driver Appreciation Week. Right. Because all of a sudden everybody's out there pouring out doing things. You imagine if you took just part of that money that you dumped 1 year, you could put people on a driver coach program, no?
Right.
You can hire a coach. If you took that money that they dumped, I've seen the budgets, thousands and thousands on junk they give away, hats and shirts and stuff, that you could hire a coach.
In a 3XL.
Yeah, you're right. And they charge more for a 3XL.
It's 100% true. So, but let's get down to it. At the end of the day, these trucking companies, rate per mile, deadhead, service, revenue, those are the key metrics that they look at. How are we really going to get them to see this up? Because it all ties into it, but there's got to be some kind of, I know the culture side, but I'm just saying, if we want our frontline guys, our frontline dispatchers, our frontline folks doing it, if we really believe in that, we've got to give them something, right? Because they're just measured to death on service, miles, safety. That's kind of where it goes to. How are we going to give them health, and hey, you know what? Let's make sure
So-
that how are we gonna do that? I mean,
Can we, if we, and y'all mentioned it earlier, you said incentivize.
I mean, it has to happen. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, it has to happen, but incentivize with a reward card, with an idea that, hey, I'm meeting certain expectations and goals too, right? And then I'm getting a reward card that as I progress in my health, that I'm also benefiting not only the company with which I work, but I'm benefiting my own health. But I'm also, at first it's just like a challenge or whatever, but the driver, I guess, to get it started sometimes just needs to be incentivized a little bit, right? I know we're all responsible I'm responsible for my health, but I suck at that already.
Right,
I mean, obviously you see what you get, and I'm already bad at it, right? So telling me, hey, you're responsible number one, we need help, right?
Well, absolutely. That's why I said the company needs to share in that responsibility. We're putting those people in an environment that's not conducive to a good lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. So we're gonna hire you, and we're telling you all the other safety things we're gonna give you. We're gonna give you a wellness tool bag. Here's what we're gonna do, and by the way, we're also gonna incentivize you. If you put those to work and save and use those, and you come back and get a 1-year card, we're gonna reward you, because that's value to us, and we value you and get you home safe. I mean, it's not that difficult.
It took me this entire interview, it really did, for it just to click on me. And this is for you out there as well. It's okay not to know how to do everything. You've got to bring those folks in that know how to help you as a company get better. And if we don't know how to do that, if you don't know how to make this part of your culture, this is where you come in, and this is where we've got to have that buy-in to bring you in and say, you know what, our whole culture's got to change regarding this. We need help. I don't know how to do it. You don't know how to do it.
No.
That's why we have folks like you that are here that can help us get there.
Absolutely. And I tell people all the time that I don't know what the right program is for you, but I do know the wrong one. Don't do anything at all.
Bam.
And
Like it, yeah.
you gotta
Keep
do
doing what
something.
you're doing.
You gotta do
Just
something.
keep doing what you're doing. That's probably not the right thing to do.
Love it, love it, love it. Great stuff, everybody. Hey, I want to thank you for taking some time to be with us here. Drive safe. Before we get out of here, let's give you a chance, Ms. Tanya. You start first. Tell everybody, before we get out of here, the best way for them to get a hold of you, and a little bit about the company you're with.
LIT Wellness Solutions, it's a health and wellness coaching and consulting company. Deal with drivers and individuals one-on-one, and coaching culture for companies.
Love it.
And Tanya at litwellnesssolutions.com or litwellnesssolutions.com for more information.
All right, Bob, I know everybody knows you already, but give them another feedback. Tell them a little bit.
Bob Perry, I have my own company, Health and Transportation. You can reach me there or go to my website, bob@healthandtransportation.com. I like to always bring different companies to the organizations to help find different solutions. I do have some new exciting technology I'll be introducing next week. Drivers will be able to take their cell phone camera, hold it in front of their face, and it'll read the blood flow through their face. So in 30 seconds, we'll give them their blood pressure, their heart rate, their BMI, and their respiratory. And links, if they want to get help, they can reach out and talk to somebody.
Man, that's
Thank you very
amazing.
much.
I love
For
it.
$1 a month, $12 a year, you can give your driver at least something to start.
That is, it really is amazing. And let me say, if you didn't get, doing nothing's not the answer. Finding a way to help our drivers, to help this industry, it's going to take each and every one of you. It's going to take this whole group we see right
Everybody.
here to make a difference in an industry that needs to have that change as well, especially for us to bring in that newer group to come into here. If we want that younger group of drivers in here, we need to show them, and we, as a trucking industry, we've got to learn how to do it the right way.
Yep.
Thank you all so much. You've been watching BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation.